All right. Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Definitely. Always ready to explore something new.
Today, we're going to be taking a closer look at hiring trends.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, in South Korea. Specifically, we've got a bunch of articles and surveys about how large corporations are changing their hiring practices. And it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about this.
So they're looking for more and more experienced workers, even for entry-level positions.
Really? So even for, like, those just starting out, that's a...
Yeah, it's a pretty big shift from what we traditionally think of as, entry level.
I mean, I guess it makes sense in a way, right? Like, companies want people who can just jump right in.
Right, exactly.
But I'd imagine that makes it even harder for new graduates to break into those companies.
Yeah, and that's something we're going to get into.
Okay.
But to kind of understand this whole trend, we got to look at this term that's becoming really popular in South Korea.
Okay, what's that?
It's 중고신입.
중고신입. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one.
So it translates to used newcomer.
Used newcomer. Wow, that's that's pretty direct.
It is.
But I guess it really gets the point across.
Yeah, basically it refers to experienced workers applying for entry-level jobs.
Ah, so that's the trend you're talking about.
Exactly.
Okay, so like, how common is this? Is it just a few people here and there, or is it?
No, it's pretty widespread, actually.
Really?
Nearly 30% of new hires at top Korean companies last year.
Wow, 30%.
Were 중고신입.
That's significant.
Yeah, and most of them have like 1 or 2 years of experience under their belt.
Okay, so not like super senior level people, but...
Right, but they've got some real-world experience.
Yeah, they've been in the trenches.
So the big question is, why are companies doing this?
Right. What's the motivation behind it?
Why this sudden shift towards experience over fresh talent?
Especially in such a large percentage of new hires.
Yeah, it's definitely a head-scratcher.
Well, I think to understand this, we need to look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
The current economic climate in South Korea. Like many other countries, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. Global markets are volatile, and companies are looking for ways to, minimize risk and maximize efficiency.
So they're kind of playing it safe by bringing in people who already know the ropes.
Exactly. In times of uncertainty, companies want employees who can hit the ground running.
Makes sense.
They don't have the time or resources to invest in extensive training.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Right. They need people who can contribute right away.
So it's like, in a way, they're hedging their bets.
Exactly.
By bringing in people who've already proven themselves.
It's a way to mitigate risk in a volatile market.
Okay, so that explains why companies are doing this.
Right.
But what about the job seekers?
Yeah, good point.
I mean, more experience is usually a good thing, right?
You would think so, wouldn't you?
So wouldn't this make it like a dream job market for people with experience?
You'd think. But it's actually a bit more complicated than that.
Oh, how so?
We're seeing a bit of a paradox here.
A paradox.
Yeah, so even though there are a lot of experienced workers applying for jobs,
okay,
companies are still struggling to find the right talent.
Wait, really? So there's like a mismatch happening.
Exactly. You could call it a skills gap.
A skills gap.
Yeah.
So you're saying there are tons of experienced people out there.
Yeah.
But they don't have the skills that companies actually need.
Precisely. It's not just about having experience. It's about having the right kind of experience.
Huh. Okay, so it's not just about the quantity of experience, but also the quality.
Exactly. And this is especially important in a rapidly evolving tech landscape like South Korea.
Okay.
Companies are looking for specific skill sets that are in high demand but short supply.
So it's like they need people who are not just experienced, but experienced in the right areas.
Exactly. It's a much more targeted approach to hiring.
Okay, that makes things a lot more complicated than I initially thought.
Yeah.
So it's not just, oh, you have experience, come on in.
Yeah, not at all.
It's way more nuanced than that.
Exactly. It's about finding the right fit, the right skills, the right experience.
Okay, so to kind of sum up what we've talked about so far,
Sure.
We've got companies who are eager to hire experienced folks.
Yeah.
But they're having a hard time finding the right people with the right skills.
Right.
And all of this is happening against this backdrop of, economic uncertainty.
Absolutely.
And a growing need for really specialized skill sets.
Yeah, it's a complex landscape.
No wonder the job market is so competitive over there.
It is. It is.
But what does all this mean for our listeners?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's one we're going to explore further.
Okay.
This trend in South Korea has implications for anyone navigating the job market.
Really? Even if we're not in South Korea?
Yes. Even if you're not in South Korea, whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out.
Wow. Okay. I'm definitely interested to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's important to understand these global trends because they often have ripple effects.
All right. So let's unpack what this means for our listeners then.
Okay, so first let's take a closer look at who these 중고신입 really are.
Okay.
Imagine someone who spent, say, a year or two in a fast-paced startup,
Okay.
gained valuable experience in, a specific tech niche. And now they're looking for a more stable position in a larger company.
Okay.
They may not have a decade-long resume,
Right.
but their experience is concentrated and highly relevant to what companies are looking for.
Ah, I see. So it's not just about the years of experience. It's more about...
It's about the type of experience,
Okay.
the quality of that experience,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and how well it aligns with current market needs.
But what about the companies that are struggling to fill positions? If there are all these experienced workers out there, shouldn't it be easy to find the right fit?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting. Because you see, the data shows that even though many companies are hiring 중고신입,
Okay.
they're also facing incredibly high turnover rates.
Wait, really? People are leaving these jobs quickly, even with experience.
Yeah, it's surprising, isn't it?
That's pretty unexpected.
It is. People are leaving these jobs soon after starting.
Wow. So why would someone with experience leave a new job so quickly?
Well, it could be a number of things.
Okay.
For one, it could be a mismatch in expectations.
Okay.
Perhaps the company culture isn't what they expected.
Hmm.
Or maybe the role doesn't actually utilize their skills effectively.
Ah, I see.
It could also be that these experienced workers are receiving more competitive offers,
Okay.
leading to a sort of musical chairs within the job market.
So it sounds like even with experience, job seekers still need to be careful
Absolutely.
and consider the whole picture.
Yeah.
The company culture, the specific role, their long-term goals.
It's not just about getting a job anymore. It's about finding the right fit.
This is already giving me a lot to think about. But before we move on to what all this means for our listeners, I want to go back to those specific skills you mentioned.
Okay, sure.
The ones that companies are really craving.
The ones in high demand, yeah.
What exactly are they missing? What are these skills?
Well, it's multi-layered, right? Alongside that surge in demand for STEM skills, there's also this parallel gap, widening in what we call soft skills.
Oh, soft skills. Okay, yeah, I've heard that term.
Yeah.
But remind me what that really means.
So it refers to those interpersonal skills that are crucial for success in, pretty much any role.
Right.
Things like communication, teamwork, problem solving, adaptability.
Gotcha. Yeah, those abilities that help you navigate the human side of work.
Exactly.
Okay, but how can there be a shortage of those? Aren't those just qualities that we kind of develop through life experiences in general?
Well, that's a common misconception, actually. While life experiences certainly contribute, the level of proficiency needed in the workplace is often much higher. Companies are finding that even experienced hires sometimes lack the refined communication skills to collaborate effectively, the problem-solving mindset to tackle complex challenges, or the adaptability to thrive in, those fast-paced, ever-changing environments.
It's like they're bringing the technical know-how, but missing those crucial ingredients for successful collaboration and innovation.
Exactly. They might have the hard skills,
Yeah.
but they're lacking those soft skills.
So is this soft skills gap, is that made worse by the fact that so many companies in South Korea are global now?
Absolutely. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Because they need employees who can seamlessly communicate and collaborate with colleagues and clients from all over the world.
From diverse backgrounds, yeah.
Yeah. And that adds, another layer of complexity to the whole thing.
It's not just about speaking the same language, but also understanding cultural nuances and communication styles and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And this brings us back to those challenges companies face.
Okay.
Even with this whole 중고신입 trend, they're realizing that even experienced hires sometimes need additional training and development to bridge this gap, this soft skills gap.
So it's like a double-edged sword in a way.
Yeah, it is.
Companies are getting these experienced workers, but then they're also having to deal with this skills gap.
Exactly.
Technical and interpersonal.
Yeah, they're struggling to keep those new hires engaged and on board.
What does all this mean for our listeners then? Those who are trying to navigate the job market, whether they're in South Korea or somewhere else?
It really underscores a crucial point.
Okay, let's see.
Experience alone is not enough. Especially in this evolving landscape, job seekers really need to demonstrate a well-rounded skill set that includes both technical expertise and those essential soft skills.
So it's about being like a multifaceted individual, someone who can like code, communicate, collaborate, adapt.
Yeah, it's about being able to wear multiple hats and be flexible.
Be the whole package.
Yeah.
Okay, so how can our listeners, how can they build that skill set? Should everyone just run out and get another degree or some sort of fancy certification?
Well, it's not always about formal qualifications.
Okay.
There are many ways to develop these skills, both within and outside traditional education.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Sure. Well, for technical skills, there are tons of online courses and resources.
Sure.
You can learn coding languages, data analysis tools, design software, all sorts of things.
Right, yeah.
And for soft skills, consider joining clubs, volunteering, taking on leadership roles in community projects.
So it's about getting out there and actually doing things.
Exactly. Anything that allows you to practice those skills.
Right.
Communication, teamwork, problem solving.
In real world situations.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's about being proactive.
Yeah.
And seeking out those opportunities to learn and grow, whether it's through like formal education or just hands-on experience.
Yeah, it's about taking ownership of your own development.
And don't forget about networking.
Oh, absolutely. Networking is crucial.
Attending industry events, connecting with people on LinkedIn, reaching out to people for informational interviews.
All those things can be incredibly valuable.
So it's not just what you know, it's who you know.
It's both.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the demand side,
right,
what companies are looking for.
Yeah.
But what about the job seekers themselves?
Good question.
What are they looking for in a job these days?
Well, job seekers are becoming increasingly selective.
Okay.
They're not just looking for a paycheck anymore. They're looking for a job that aligns with their values.
Okay.
Offers opportunities for growth and development.
Yeah.
And provides a healthy work-life balance.
So it's like a two-way street now.
Exactly.
Companies need to offer more than just a salary and benefits.
It's about the whole package now.
They've got to create a compelling employee experience.
Right. And this is especially true for the 중고신입.
Okay.
These are individuals who've already had a taste of the working world.
Right.
They know what they want.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to walk away from a job that doesn't meet their expectations.
Sounds like companies need to, like, step up their game.
They do.
To attract and retain that top talent.
It's a competitive market out there.
But what does this all mean for the future of work? Not just in South Korea, but globally.
Right.
Are we all headed towards a future where entry level really does mean experienced level?
Well, what's happening in South Korea could be a glimpse into the future of work on a global scale.
Okay, what makes you say that?
Well, think about all the trends we've talked about.
Okay.
The rapid pace of technological advancements, the increasing demand for specialized skills, the growing importance of soft skills, and those evolving expectations of both employers and employees.
So you're saying that this shift towards experienced hires, this blurring of the lines between entry-level and experienced roles,
right,
it might not be limited to South Korea.
Exactly.
It could be a sign of things to come for everyone.
It's a global trend that we're seeing.
And this raises some pretty important questions then.
Yeah.
For anyone navigating the job market today.
Absolutely.
No matter where they are or what stage of their career they're in.
It's a new world of work out there.
So give us some food for thought.
Okay, yeah. Well, if this trend keeps growing, right, and experience is needed for even entry-level jobs, what does that mean for those folks just starting out?
Yeah, is it going to be like a constant uphill battle?
Well, I think the key is to reframe how we think about experience.
Okay.
It's not just about having a formal job title on your resume. It's more about actively seeking those opportunities to learn and grow and demonstrate your skills.
So even if you're like fresh out of school,
right,
you can still get valuable experience through things like internships, volunteer work, personal projects.
Absolutely. Those would be just as valuable, sometimes even more so, than a traditional job when it comes to showing your abilities and your work ethic.
So it's about, like, taking ownership of your own development, even if it's not a formal job.
Exactly. You're building that portfolio of evidence that showcases your skills, your passions.
But with all this talk about experience, like, is a college degree even necessary anymore?
That's a question a lot of people are asking, right?
Yeah.
While a degree can open doors and provide a foundation, it's not the only path to success. We're seeing these alternative education pathways becoming more and more popular.
Like what?
Things like coding boot camps,
Right.
online courses, specialized certifications.
So it's less about that piece of paper and more about the actual skills and knowledge.
Exactly. It's about what you can actually bring to the table.
Okay. And this kind of ties into this whole idea of a lifelong learning, right?
Absolutely. Lifelong learning is becoming so essential.
Yeah.
In today's world, it's not just about what you learn in school. It's about continuously updating those skills, embracing new tech, adapting.
So the learning never really stops.
No, it doesn't. It's ongoing.
And this mindset, it's not just good for individuals, right? It's good for companies too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Companies that invest in employee training, foster that culture of learning, create opportunities for growth, they're going to be in a much better position.
To attract and retain top talent.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Okay, so it seems like this whole shift towards experience and this lifelong learning thing, it's creating both, like, challenges and opportunities.
It is. It's
for everybody.
Yeah, it's a complex landscape.
So any final thoughts on how our listeners can, like, navigate this new world and set themselves up for success?
Well, I would say embrace the idea of being what we call a T-shaped individual.
T-shaped. Okay, I haven't heard that one before.
So it means having deep expertise in one particular area.
Okay.
That's the vertical line of the T.
Okay.
But it also means having a broad understanding of other related fields and a willingness to collaborate and learn from others.
Okay.
That's the horizontal line of the T.
So you're a specialist in your field, but you're also adaptable.
Right.
And you're open to learning from other perspectives.
Exactly. And it's this combination of deep expertise and broad knowledge that'll make you so valuable.
Wow, that's a great way to think about it.
And don't forget those things we talked about before, right? Networking, building those meaningful connections, constantly seeking growth.
Right.
The future of work may be uncertain, but if you embrace those principles, you can navigate it with confidence.
Okay.
And create a really fulfilling and successful career.
That's fantastic advice. Thanks for taking the time to share your insights with us today.
My pleasure. It's been a great conversation.
I know. I've learned a lot.
Oh, good.
About this whole evolving landscape of hiring.
Yeah.
Not just in South Korea, but globally.
It's a global phenomenon.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Remember, the future of work is in your hands.
Take charge.
Embrace that lifelong learning, cultivate those skills, build connections.
Keep exploring.
And until next time, keep diving deep.